peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, good morning. This morning, I want to address the issue of Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. The legacy of His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya keeps on moving, keeps on going forward and forward. Since the handshake in 2018 that brought about the peace, the tranquility, the unity of purpose, President Uhuru's star has been rising. All over Africa, people are thinking of using the model that Kenya used to stop any form of violence, chaos on the streets after elections. As you know, all of you are aware that elections in Africa produce two things: after or before or after the voting. Disputed elections, winner takes it all, loser doesn't accept the results. But the Kenyan model takes us miles and miles away from the normal type of democracy. The democracy, a negotiated format, a consensus format. A democracy that gives consensus a chance. A democracy that talks about the future of a country, the unity of a country, as opposed to a fragmented country, polarized country, where most African countries find themselves in. We have seen in the last 10 years or so, most of the elections in Africa have been contested by the opposition. Very few people in Africa, countries in Africa, where opposition has conceded defeat and come up to congratulate the winner. We have seen the South African model has worked very well. The Ghanaian model has worked so well. I don't see any other country in Africa where the models have worked well. I thought it would be Sierra Leone, but today we see Sierra Leone going back to the same ethnic tensions, as you can see from the reports that are circulating in the international media and the local media. So elections in Africa are contentious issues. They create a contentious position, create a departing point for the people of Africa, of that particular nation. The legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta, therefore, will be remembered for having brought the tranquility that we have today, the peace, the new format, the new tool of having a better organized civil Africa, an Africa without violence, an Africa without chaos after elections, when the opposition accepts to work for the interests of a nation, not personal interests. This has worked in Kenya, and thank you very much, Your Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, for the tenacity and the steadfastness that you have guided this handshake up to today. For those who want to mutilate the handshake, belittle the handshake. One lesson they should learn is to look at Libya. Libya was once a territory we all respected. It is no more. Let's keep the handshake and the legacy of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Thank you. Punchline Africa TV opposes any form of terrorism, and our policy is very clear. We condemn Al-Shabaab, we condemn Boko Haram, we condemn Al-Qaeda, we condemn any remnants of Al-Qaeda cells that linger on this African continent, that maim people, innocent people. All these acts are not done by a particular religion. People have just picked a religion and used it. In Kenya, in East Africa, and in Africa, we should be vigilant. That is, now we don't know. You can be very, well equipped at your doorstep or at your gate, but you don't know up in the crowd when we are moving in town, in cities, in Dar es Salaam, in Mwanza, in Kampala, in Kigali, in Johannesburg. These people have come closer to our cities. In Nairobi, you might be moving and somebody just starts stabbing you. I think they have changed these tactics. So we must be vigilant ourselves as citizens of these countries in Africa. Together we shall one day wipe out all forms of terrorism that have actually widened the gaps or the gulf between the people, the religions, and the type of hatred that is coming out is not very, very good.
Very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Good Morning Africa, and we are coming to you from Nairobi, and thank you so much for tuning in. Our topic for the day today is the fight against corruption, and we shall be highlighting some of the gains and successes that have been recorded throughout this fight against corruption here in Kenya. But before that, we'll start with the review of the newspapers this morning. And before we really get to that, let me bring us up to date with the figures of COVID-19 here. And the confirmed cases in Kenya this morning stands at 88,579 cases. The death toll is 1,531. Recoveries is 69,414. And Uganda, the recorded cases is 23,200. The death toll in Uganda is 205. Yesterday it was around 207 today. Yesterday it was 205. And recoveries there in Uganda is at 9,374. And South Africa, 817,878 cases. The death toll is 22,249. Recoveries is 745,750 cases. The total cases in Africa this morning is at 1,737,900, and the number of deaths in the continent is at 60,121. Recoveries in Africa, 1 million. And I'm joined by Douglas Kirimi from Meru. Douglas, good morning. We're not able to hear you. We're not able to hear you, Douglas. I don't know what's going on with your audio there. All right. Well, Douglas is fixing that. We're also joined by Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. Daniel, good morning. Okay, so we seem to be having a problem with the connection there in the audio. So once that is sorted out, then I'll have them join us. Douglas, I don't know if you're able to hear me. Very well. So while they sort that out, let me just get into the headlines this morning. And on the front pages there of the Standard newspaper, please, could you sort the audio, please? Sean, Daniel, can you hear me? All right. So once they're able to join us, Douglas, can you hear me? Okay, so we seem to be having an audio problem there. Once the technical team there has sorted that out, then I'll be able to have the panelists join us this morning. And so we turn our attention to the Standard newspaper, and the headline there is that a senator's 21-hour date that ended in ICU attempted murder probe. Last Thursday afternoon, Senator Boniface Kabaka drove to an upmarket Nairobi apartment where he was joined by a woman. 21 hours later, he was rushed to hospital unconscious. Police are now investigating an attempted murder as what transpired at 3D remains a mystery. And the story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. I don't know who this senator is. His name is Boniface Kabaka. I don't know from which county he represents. That is Machakos. Kabaka is said to have driven into... Okay, so there you go. So the story is on... that is Machakos senator. The story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. I don't even think I want us to look at that. But on the same page 6 there of, the Standard newspaper, on the side there we see the Sonko story, and they say Sonko battles NMS over 37.1 billion Kenya shillings. And the High Court in Nairobi has barred the Treasury from releasing 37.1 billion to the Nairobi Metropolitan Services following a petition filed by Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. And Justice Anthony Mrima yesterday directed the Treasury and Controller of Budget not to release any funds to Mohamed Badi-led agency for 10 days. This is to allow Attorney General Kihara Kariuki and the Nairobi County government to deliberate on thorny issues in the Nairobi City County Appropriation Act 2020 that ceded key functions to the national government. For clarity, the said respondents are restrained from disbursing any funds on the basis of the act. The judge ruled yesterday, and the standoff, of course, over the act was among reasons why Sonko was impeached last week alongside allegations of flouting procurement laws. And the governor, however, moved to court, arguing that MCAs were illegally allocated NMS funds meant for him and his cabinet. Sonko also faulted President Uhuru Kenyatta for creating Badi's office, saying the president could only do so after a recommendation from the Public Service Commission. So this is quite interesting now, as Sonko is faulting President Uhuru Kenyatta for creating the NMS. You know, the NMS that he went to State House and signed a working agreement with, and a working understanding with, the same NMS that he's been supporting. He's not been very supportive of General Badi, but he went and signed, some sort of understanding, and he relegated some of his functions and gave them to Badi. So what perhaps Sonko did not understand is that function will be followed by the money to carry out the functions. And so now he does not want to sign the release of this money, and that has been very frustrating, I guess, for President Uhuru Kenyatta and also for NMS itself. Douglas Kirimi, good morning. I don't know if you can hear me.
Good morning, Miriam.
All right, very well. Thank you so much. You had a bit of a problem there earlier, so nice to see you. And also Daniel Besonga. Daniel, good morning.
Yes, sir. Very, very good morning, Miriam Ogutota headquarters, my good friend Douglas Kirimi, Bundi in Meru, and our viewers in Kenya, the rest of the world. Good morning.
All right, good morning so much.
And Miriam,
yes,
I have my two special friends